started and call to order the special meeting for the purpose of discussing applicants and appointing as many as possible to the advisory boards and commissions. We have basically three interrelated agenda items: a discussion, a recommendation, and then the motions to make the appointments that we decide to make as a board. So entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion to amend the agenda?
So, okay.
Strike the midterm vacancy appointments.
Why is that?
I don't see why we need to worry about that when it's for another year.
I beg to differ on the planning board. We have two midterm vacancies on the planning board, which is our number one statutory board. Right now we have 5 vacancies.
The terms are up September 2020, is that correct?
2021.
Or 2021?
Yeah.
So why do we need to?
Because that's the one board that we've always, as a town, had fully staffed. I mean, that's the.
That was my question too,
Yeah.
by email, because I didn't understand why we were filling that particular board for a mid-year vacancy. I know since I've been on the board, I didn't know if it's something different or something that has changed, that we filled the vacancies on the board when the term is expiring. So is it only for the planning board that we fill and make sure that that board is completely staffed?
We've always filled the planning board and keep it completely staffed, and when the vacancy comes up, then we fill it. We go out and search. We haven't historically, back when we served, had too many midterm vacancies. People
Right.
stayed on it, but
Right, that's my question.
But the phenomena of filling those has been one to fill them as they become vacant.
Okay, but
So-
if it's not vacant until 2021?
No, they're already vacant, they resigned.
Okay,
That was,
and that's the reason that
that's the
we're doing-
reason, yeah,
So that you have 5 seats that are open, 3 that are ending in September?
right.
And then
2 that resigned,
that resign,
Yeah.
which makes 5 seats open.
correct.
So,
And
just
That's-
for
yeah.
clarification,
And that's the
so,
only ones that we're filling midterm vacancies for?
We're going to have a discussion about the Historic Preservation Commission, because Historic Preservation Commission has 4 vacancies, 3 of which are midterm. But I think that begs a different discussion of what do we want to do with Historic Preservation. I think we have to give that some serious thought as to what their responsibility and authority is. They're getting, I would say, a little bit beyond. We have to give it some meat and authority, whatever that is, to perform a role. And I think that begs a discussion, not in this meeting.
We also have what looks like midterm vacancies on Parks, Culture, and Rec, and they're down to the bare bones. I don't see why, if we have valid candidates, why we wouldn't go ahead and fill those. Any of them that if we have a candidate for a spot, I don't understand why we wouldn't.
So let's just go down the list. Board of Adjustments doesn't meet that often. That would be one, since it's an alternate. I don't feel as strongly that we have, given we don't have enough candidates. Can we have consensus on that we don't fill that midterm
Yes.
right now? And Historic Preservation, we have 3. And I think, well, we have 3. 1 expires and 1 we did not fill that doesn't make sense to me. We have 3. I think we need a discussion about historic preservation, and while we can name enough to keep them functional, I think we have to discuss what that board's mission and purpose is, given where we are with land use and planning and what's going to happen downtown and all of that stuff.
Do we have the ability to continue to have candidates apply?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, we have to identify to Melody how many more to go out, do we want to apply, and how many we're looking for.
I just think the Historic Preservation Board is important to the town, and I would like to see us go out and seek more candidates for that board as we go back and redefine what what we want them to move forward with as far as a work plan and additional goals.
Well, it's a statutory board, so we have to have it, otherwise we turn it over to the county.
Okay.
That's point one. Point two, a lot of their meetings have canceled because it's been relegated to facade grants. So that's why I say we have to give them, they got a good group, it's just got to give them some work to do, make the advisory board meaningful.
Well, I think they had a lot, at least the candidates I talked to had a lot of great ideas about how they wanted to share the history of Waxhaw, how they wanted to do things on the website, things of that nature, and I think that
That's
that's
great.
something that we should
Yeah.
look to. I don't know how anybody else feels about that.
I felt the same way. The candidates I spoke to had wonderful ideas about projects they wanted to take on if given the authority to do so.
And that's the key, the authority, so.
My whole purpose of my comments were just to, if there was any positions that weren't required to be filled at this time statutorily, that we keep those open and let the next board appoint those. So as long as,
Well,
I don't see
with
why
all
we
due
should do
respect, the board, not this board, but the past board, moved this to September on an annual basis, primarily because to get it out of the budget and confusion period. So this is the time period we do it. If this board wants to consider changing it around, then the board needs to make a motion as to, we have to change our rules of procedures for boards and committees. It's as simple as that. So, respectfully, this is what our rule of procedure says. So,
I maintain, I just don't see if we have a candidate why we wouldn't, if we have a candidate we feel is a good fit for a given spot, why we wouldn't go ahead and let them start in that spot.
I mean, what does the board want to do?
I'd like to fill as many spots as we can.
Pardon?
I said I can't answer that question. I was out sick at the time.
No, what I'm getting at is, do we want to maintain our rule of procedure, which says?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes, I would
September.
like to.
Yes.
Yes?
there was discussion in last February, was it February, about filling those midterm vacancies at that point. So what was, I don't recall the reason we put that off then until, was there a procedure at that time?
I mean, I don't recall, so we'd have to go back and look at the minutes, and I don't know what the midterm vacancy was, or if we had applications, or,
I remember a discussion on scheduling the midterm vacancies at that point, and so.
okay, so what is your objection? What is it that you're trying to solve? What problem are we trying to solve? I'm just asking.
I would prefer that we only appoint those that statutorily we have to appoint at this time. And if there's terms that don't need to be filled, I'd rather just wait until the next board, but.
Unfortunately,
so-
that means people could withdraw, and we could lose good applicants.
Okay,
Isn't that true?
so,
Or you could get more.
Or you could get more. Yeah, that's true, too. Either way, it's true.
so if the board, I don't accept the rationale that we push it off to another board. We have this procedure for a reason. If the board wants to change it, then we should change that to something else. I mean, to be quite honest, when's a new board going to be ready to start appointing? Then we're turning this into nothing but politics, or what it, so. Statutorily, we have to fill the planning board, we have to fill the ABC, we have to fill the Board of Adjustments, and we should fill enough of the historic preservation.
So,
Main
we-
Street Advisory Board, it's not a statutory requirement, it's a Department of Interior requirement to do those things. And I'd have to defer to Kurt on that if we don't have enough there. And then Parks is an advisory board. And so if we don't have enough candidates for that, we have to go out and get some.
So statutorily, can we fill boards that we need to fill by statute if we have enough candidates here who have been
Well,
interested?
I'm
it's
just-
not just about the number of
Yes.
candidates, about who's right for what
So,
position.
I didn't finish my statement.
So, hang on a second. We have an agenda here. We have to approve the agenda. We're now into the middle of a discussion. which is outside of adopting an agenda. So this is good discussion. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Do we want to modify the agenda?
No.
No? So 1, 2, okay, so 4 to 1, do not accept the modification. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 4 to 1. Now, let's get to the discussion. And my note this morning was pretty much consistent with what you were saying, Mayor Pro Tem. We need to address the statutory boards here and now. And I don't know how many candidates left that haven't been interviewed, and how many people know certain people that feel comfortable to appoint them, but that's open for discussion. So
That was going to be the remainder of what I was going to say, was to fill those boards. And once we statutorily, with the right people, fill the boards, if we do have any other people that we can then look at, if some boards or seats are open that we may want to fill today, then we can proceed to do so. If we feel that we do not have the proper candidates for the rest of the positions that are open, then we may want to go out and seek more candidates for those positions.
I agree that we would probably need to go out and seek more candidates.
That was the remainder of what I was going to say. Thank you.
well, now that we have that, are we all moving forward? Okay. Commissioner, or Mayor Pro Tem McMillan and I were both out ill the night the interviews occurred. So at this point, really, items 1 and 2, discussion of applicants, and then some recommendations. We're kind of doing those two hand in hand here. So in talking with Kelly before she left, her biggest concern was because of the workload ahead is the planning board. So, and we have 2 regular and 2 midterm vacancies, so 5 positions to fill. So, open to discussion. Do people have some candidates that they really would like to see for the planning board? Commissioner Burns?
I have the James Granger for the regular, Charles Matheson, Don Ferguson, and then the other 2, I guess the alternates would be Derek and Stephanie.
I had the same.
I had James Granger, Charles Mathewson, is it Donald Freeman? Donald Freeman, and Derek Pollock.
Could
You
do
had
that
those
one more
4.
time? Sorry.
James Granger, Charles Mathewson, Derek Pollock, Donald Freeman.
Yes, thank you.
And we need
So-
5, right?
Yeah, so consistency, all 3 of you have had those 4.
Yeah.
And 2 have had Stephanie Coffey as an alter. Mayor Pro Tem?
I actually spoke with Kelly before she left, and she looked at the applicants, and I had the same ones that have already been stated.
So I'm also comfortable with James Granger and Donald Freeman and Mr. Matheson. Trying to make sure I have my entire list. And Stephanie Coffey. That's all of them, right?
There's one.
Derek Pollock?
Oh, thank you. I forgot him. Yes, I'm okay with that as well.
So we have near unanimous agreement on those 5. And are we comfortable? Let's see. Hang on a second, I got to get this right. So Matheson, regular for the for the new term. Freeman, regular, for the new term beginning October 1st. Derek Pollock, hang on a second, Charles. Matheson.
So I would like to see Mr. Granger be on a regular seat because he had a lot of experience.
agree.
And
Agreed.
he, over 40 years of surveying experience, so I think he's an asset to the board.
He had a lot of passion for it too, if I remember.
But he also, when I interviewed him, he made a reference to his preference was the Board of Adjustments. But if we put him here, he can always come back and say that's not what he wanted or accept that
So for
nomination.
items on the motion sheet 13 through 17, we have Charles Matheson for the regular member for 3-year term beginning October 1st. Don Freeman, regular member for 3-year term beginning October 1st. Derek Pollock, alternate for 3-year term beginning October 1st. James Granger as the regular member to fill an unexpired term beginning immediately and ending September 30, 2021. And Stephanie Coffey as an alternate member to begin immediately and ending September 30, 2021. That's what,
Did you say Granger as an alternate or?
regular,
Regular.
regular to fill the unexpired.
Okay, unexpired, okay.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
So just go 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. It goes
Right, okay.
Matheson, Freeman, Pollock,
Oh.
Granger, Coffey. And with that, someone like to, I would entertain a motion to appoint those 5 as I laid them out in items 13 to 17.
So moved.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Whew. Okay, next up, Board of Adjustments. And I think we said in our discussion that we would fill the regular and the alternate that expire 9/30/19, or term ends, and that we would, given that they don't meet that frequently, we will look to the future to fill the alternate at this point in time. What say ye? Who do you have?
I would like to see Robert Dussinger be reappointed to his role, and Pedro Mori to fill the
Reappoint.
reappoint, yes.
I agree.
Agree.
Agree? Everybody
Yep.
agree?
I do.
Okay, so we have for item 3 and 4, to 3 will be Mr. Dussinger, to appoint him as a regular member of the Waxhaw Board of Adjustments for a 3-year term beginning October 1st, 2019, and then Pedro More as an alternate member of the Waxhaw Board of Adjustments for a 3-year beginning October 1st, 2019. Entertain a motion to appoint those 2 as presented.
So moved.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And we will leave number 5 vacant for now. Melody?
Okay.
Okay. ABC Board. We have 2 terms that have expired and need appointment to the ABC Board.
I have recommend Frank Asio and Lee Kelly.
I agree.
Others?
I agree with Lee Kelly.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
I did have Lee Kelly down.
I agree with Lee Kelly and Frank Asio as well. Felt like they were both really good candidates.
Mayor Pro Tem?
And what about Mr. Abbott? Who put- No. Was-
That's where I was hoping we could have discussion, because so there was two who are seeking reappointment, Rivas and Abbott. So I'm just curious if there's discussion on the choice of,
Sure.
Right, that's just my question, since I just want to know. What was the reasoning for the two that you have selected as opposed to the
Sure.
ones that are not here?
So Mr. Kelly has a great deal of experience in law enforcement and also had state experience from what I had in my notes. And I just thought he'd be a stellar fit for what we were looking for. And then, let's see, he knows all the procedures. He's had the training. He's done a lot of work with the state associated to the ABC board, so I thought that he was an excellent candidate for us. And then Frank has a lot of really great experience and wanted to see us what we could do to kind of improve the customer service experience at the ABC store. He also has done some of the classes because he volunteers with the Charlotte Knights in the beverage service at the Charlotte Knights games. So he has experience with the training that's required for the ABC board, as well as experience with serving for the Charlotte Knights. And I just thought that he had some great energy and great ideas about improving the customer service aspect of the ABC store.
I agree. And on my sheet, the question and answer sheet, Lee Kelly has taught ABC officers, so he's familiar with all the guidelines, as well as law enforcement and military. He's done an awful lot of volunteering. And as far as Frank, I think he said his number one volunteer value to him is customer service, in saying that we're all customers to one another, which I thought that was.
Commissioner Wesolek, do you?
well, I had agreed on Mr. Kelly. I just wasn't sure about the second of replacing two members that have been serving with another new person. So I just wanted to get feedback from everyone.
Was there something that came up in the interview on the incumbents?
That was my question, next question.
I
I'm looking.
received quite a bit of negative feedback about town from Mr. Abbott, which put me off.
Okay.
I did as well.
And
One board member in particular, which was extremely unusual to hear that in an interview.
Mr. Rivas?
I believe, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I believe you heard the comment too as well, Ms. Barnes. Was this not the gentleman who said to Kelly something along the lines of, "What good did talking to those girls do?"
Yes.
Which I thought extremely disrespectful.
Yeah, the comment was, what good does it do to talk to those girls?
We need to do interview technique, or how to,
Come in here and trash the town and get a job.
I just thought maybe, given all of that and given the qualifications of these two, it might be time to give somebody else a try, see how they do.
I'm not giving an answer either way, because Mr. George and I have had some heated discussion about the ABC statutes that are going on at the State House, and differences of opinion there, and that's good, but I don't want that to be an influence here. So, are we comfortable with Frank and Lee.
I am.
I am.
Okay.
I am as well.
So, let me just. So, we appoint Frank Taccio to the Waxhaw ABC Board for a three-year term beginning October 1st, 2019, and Lee Kelly to the same term. So, entertain a motion to appoint those two individuals as presented in the sheet.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next up, historic preservation. I am going to ask a question of an audience member. Ms. Settle, how many people are on the board now? Is it 4 left?
I think it's 4, we only had 3 of our last meeting. Leslie was in Italy, and I don't know what her time was. Ending or
4 out of 7, but we need to appoint a couple to make it more functional. Yeah, okay. All right. So my suggestion would be to appoint a minimum of 2 to the expiring terms. And if we have somebody else in mind for the unexpired terms, or great, but I wasn't here, so I didn't interview the candidates, but at least let's get the first 2 done. Come on up and speak into the microphone, please. Thank you, Terry.
Might have to make sure it's
Turn it on.
I think, is
Red light?
red light.
Yeah. No,
Light
if
is
you see a
on.
red light,
it was on, okay.
Okay.
I thought, oh, it must be off. I just wanted to be sure you knew that there's a state requirement for the makeup of the board and knew what they all are. That was all I
Yeah.
wanted to say, make a
Yep.
comment.
Yep.
And that you know what the current people, what they bring, so you know what we're looking for. Okay, that's all.
very good, thank you. So, do we have any suggestions here?
I do. I have Chris Moorfield and Elizabeth Dubrowski.
That's who I have as well.
too.
I agree.
I couldn't find any others for that position.
And they
Okay.
both were very passionate, and it was a great discussion. I think that they all have a lot to offer.
All right, so we have Chris Moorfield, 2019 through 2022, Elizabeth Dubrowski, 2019 through 2022. I'll entertain a motion to appoint those 2 as presented on the motion sheet.
So moved.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So,
So then we still have 2 vacancies for that, Steve, that we would need to
yeah.
interview for?
Chris was already on, I read that her term was expired.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, so we'll come back and try to fill those at a later date. So next up, so we have that, we have that, we have that. Do we have any candidates for the Main Street Advisory Board? We have 1, 2, 3 rolling off at a time when it's pretty critical with the downtown project and the downtown visioning that we keep that consistent. So while not statutory by state law, it is a requirement to be fully staffed for the Main Street as part of the Department of the Commerce. So I'll open it up. Do we have any recommendations?
I do.
I do. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I had Ms. McCrink, Ms. Vetri, and Mr. Brown.
I had John Crane, Jesse McCrink, Ricky Brown. My reasoning for John Crane is that they're
Give me, I didn't hear the second name.
Jesse McCrink,
Jesse McCree.
same as Commissioner Lee, and Ricky Brown. And my reasoning for John Crane is we do not have a current business owner downtown serving on the board, and I think he gives a unique perspective as well as had business data to help with the decision-making he knew from both his in-store business as well as his food truck business, which related to some of the events that we've had, and I think it brings a unique perspective that no one else has been able to give to that board.
And what was the third name that you had, Commissioner Lee? Did you,
Ricky Brown.
Ricky Brown?
No, I think you guys
Just-
both agreed.
Yeah, we both agreed
Ricky
on McCrink and Brown.
Jesse McCreek, yeah, so
Was there a third one you gave?
Renee.
Vetri. Renee Vetri.
I have Jesse McCrink, Ricky Brown, and Renee Vetri. Is it Vetri?
We got 4 people in the mix here. So we agree on
Yeah, Jesse
Jesse
had a lot
and
to
Ricky,
offer.
so.
His background is retail. He manages the operations of South Park Mall, so he has a lot to offer, and I thought that he was an excellent candidate. And then Mr. Brown shared a great deal of feedback about how his ideas for Main Street and bringing more businesses to Main Street. So I thought that those were both excellent candidates. I also had Miss Renee Vetri. I really loved her energy, and I thought that she had a lot of great things to say about what we could do to bring more businesses to downtown as well. And I felt like her background would really help that board along. So I felt like she was an excellent candidate.
So,
Now-
I'm sorry. It seems that we're in agreement on, or you're in agreement on
Two of
at
them.
least 2 of them. So the difference between John Crane and Renee Vetri, can you tell me what really are the strengths of one or the other? If Mr. McCrane is a business owner, you said?
Now that, yes, Mr. Crane owns
Mr. Crane.
the Main Street Barbecue.
Okay, and
He
then,
also has the food truck that he has at the events, the
Okay.
barbecue truck.
so can I just hear the strengths of Mr. Crane or Ms. Vetri, as, since we do have, seems a consensus on 2, but not the third?
Well, I stated mine for Mr. Crane, but when I spoke with Ms. Veltri, she indicated to me her passion was for the Parks and Rec, and,
To be on that board, is that what you're
yes,
saying?
and so, and considering I had difficulty finding people that I felt were good for that, that was one that I had put her for, so I thought Mr. Crane, being a business owner in downtown, would be beneficial to that board.
So when I spoke with Ms. Vetri, she had described her passion for Main Street Advisory Board and PCR, but said at the end of our discussion that she was more interested in Main Street Advisory Board. And again, her background is in recruiting, and I thought that she would bring a lot to the table as far as recruiting, teamwork, and things of that nature. She was very eager to help, and I just thought that she had great energy. And being seated as a co-liaison to that board, I felt like she would be an excellent fit.
She did put PCR as her first choice on her application.
So is it more beneficial to have someone who is a business owner in here who also participates on the board? Did he exhibit that same energy for wanting to be on the Main Street Board since he does have a business here as a business owner? I'm just trying to understand why.
I just have to say that for my own part, I heard the same thing about Ms. Beltry wanting to be on Main Street, and as far as Mr. Crane goes, he was incredibly disrespectful. He used profanity throughout the entire interview. He nicknamed me. It was very disrespectful, and I really wanted to put him on there, but if you can't be civil for 10 minutes, how can I ask you to represent the town?
In answer to your question, the town has had mixed reviews when it comes to having business owners on the Main Street Board. It really requires Kurt, the Main Street manager, to really put the foot down, because in the past, the blending has been, can the Main Street Advisory Board do the marketing for my business? Kind of reaches into that. So
Okay,
that,
it seems
so
more beneficial than two, or?
no,
it just
it's
depends
it's
on
been
the-
very mixed
Okay.
as to how helpful the business has been. That said, that I'm just answering your question. Some have done well, others have not done so well. So I don't think there's one way either way on that, just from the past. I can go through a list of a half a dozen that some of them saw the bigger picture, but some of them made it very personal about their business, so.
And I can say, when I sat on the promotions committee before, which was like the precursor to the Main Street Advisory Board, when I sat on that committee, there were a lot of local business owners on that committee, and to Steve's point, it was about how can we market the town, but everyone also wanted to understand, we, at that time, were planning the First Fridays and things of that nature, and they wanted to ensure that their business was a stop on that First Friday. And I understand everybody wants to do the best they can for their business, but I also think that we have a lot of critical decisions to make about the RFP, and would love to see someone who sees the bigger picture.
One of the things that Neil, owner of Dream Chasers, always felt conflicted. He would try to chair it, and then he would be accused of, you're just doing that for your own business. And he found that conflict. I personally felt he did a good job, but he had that conflict and talked about it a lot, and actually resigned early. So, what would you like to do?
I would like to appoint Jesse McCrink, Renee Veltri, and Ricky Brown.
Can we break it down into individuals?
So we have Jesse and Ricky, I think everybody agrees on. So let me have I'll have a motion to appoint Jesse Greek to the Waxhaw Advisory Board for a 3-year term beginning October 1st, 2019 and ending September 30th, 2022.
So
Motion for that?
moved.
So moved. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'll entertain a motion to appoint Ricky Brown to the Waxhaw Main Street Advisory Board for a 3-year term beginning October 1st, 2019 and ending September 30th, 2022.
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 5-0 again. All right. Who would like to make whatever motion for item number 12?
I move that we appoint Renee Veltri for the remaining Main Street Advisory Board term.
So we have a motion to appoint Renee Veltri to the Waxhaw Main Street Advisory Board for a 3-year term beginning October 1st, 2019 and ending September 30th, 2022. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
So that's 4-1. All right. Do we have people left for Parks and Rec?
We do.
I don't even know what list we have. Do we have any?
I do. Chris Amadeo, and this is his second year coming back. We did not choose him last year because we had so many applicants. But I think he would be great on Parks and Rec. He's very energetic, very interested, and took the time to come back and really try hard to get us done.
He also held a
think it would be
space on the Union County Parks and Rec Board.
And I have Mark Momsen, who's on, I think
He's the chair right now.
So he's coming back. He's
He's reapplied,
re-signed.
yes.
Okay, so there's two. Do we have any others? And again, I think in this particular case, we go back and ask for more for the unexpired terms that have been vacated. And see if we can come up with some names.
There's one other, Megan Huthers, and I think that was online. We didn't get to interview
Yeah, we
her.
didn't get to interview.
We interviewed
But I think-
her. She was on the planning board, wasn't she? Or
She was on the planning board previously.
Those are the three that I have for
she
PC.
filled an unexpired term last year on the planning board. Megan's good people. She used to be at Kensington Elementary.
Volunteer, yeah.
Very well. So what would we like to do? There's three names. Do we have more or less
That's all I had.
comfort with them, discomfort with any of them?
I had the same three.
I mean, yeah, I had Renee for the, yeah, but.
Did you have any thoughts, Tracy, on Chris or Mark?
Those are fine, I had those names, but nobody else.
Okay, so you have Chris and Mark.
Yes.
We want to let's do them one by one. Motion to appoint Chris, however you say his last,
Amadeo,
Amadeo, to the Waxhaw Parks and Culture Advisory Board, October 2019 and ending September 30th, 2022. Motion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? 5-0. And then motion to appoint Mark Momsen to the Waxhaw Parks, Culture, Recreation, and Advisory Board to fill a 3-year term, October 2019, and ending September 30th, 2022.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 0. All right, does anybody want to make any additional motions on Parks and Rec?
make a motion for Megan Huthers for Parks and Rec.
Motion,
Did we so we didn't interview her, you're saying?
No, her application came in late and it was available to us on the portal. But she did outline in her application that, she was interested in Parks and Rec, as well as the planning board.
She's a benefit for Parks and Rec.
And
you know her,
they're in
she
such
lives in
need of
Quellen, doesn't
help.
she? Yeah,
They're in such need
know
of
her
help on
too.
Parks and Rec,
Yeah.
too.
very solid.
She's a benefit for Parks and Rec.
Anybody want to make a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
So that leaves, what, 2 for Historic and 2 for Parks and Rec that we need to advertise for, and 1 for the
Board of
Board of
Adjustment.
Adjustment.
Yep. When do we think we could put that out?
Get these appointed and announced, and then probably the end of the week, we could do another announcement for the 2 PCR and 2 Historic Preservation and 1 Board of Adjustment.
Yes.
Okay, we can get very targeted on that. I'll work with you on that. So we have filled 17 of the 22. Good job. So with that, we have no other business to accomplish today. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to adjourning?